Let's go ahead and get to this latest with regard to MAGA. You mentioned Charlie Kirk. So he got a phone call. I could put actually A2 up on the screen. He apparently got a phone call from Trump, who called him to express his support for Bondi after being shown a clip of Charlie Kirk seemingly supporting Dan Bongino over Bondi at the Turning Point USA conference. So effectively, the memo went out to Kirk to stand down, and I think that same memo has gone out to many other MAGA influencers. The result of that being this clip of Charlie Kirk saying, you know what, for now, I'm just going to move on from this. Let's take a listen.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend.
Trust Trump, Emily.
That's really something. He posted on X after that to say, listen, it's not that we don't care anymore. It's just that it's like we have to at some point trust who's there. And that is such a weird, can you imagine? I'm serious in all of this. I know he is like genuinely friends with people in the administration. And I do think he gets credit for letting Tucker and others go to his conference over the weekend and say basically whatever the heck they wanted to on this. And, that's great. But can you imagine being like, I'm just going to trust people who we've given enormous power to? Like, that is such a bizarre, I get that he's friends with a lot of these guys, but the idea that we just handed these people mass surveillance powers, confidential information, and they've done nothing to earn the trust except for like flip-flop, and now we just have to sort of let go and let God.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we're going to watch Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro in a little bit, but he did a sort of more sophisticated version of the same thing of like, listen, I was open to various theories, but when that memo came out, and J.D. Vance and Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and all these people that I trust said there's no there. I think there's no there. So I'm moving on. Dinesh D'Souza, we don't have an element for that because I just saw this last night. But I wanted to read his quote because he said something similar. He said that it's time to move on from Epstein. Quote, they have closed the case. And here's his reasoning. He says, if we're so obsessed with Epstein that we're jumping up and down about Epstein and we're claiming to walk out on MAGA, first of all, Trump's not up for election again, but who are you going to vote for? The Democrats? He concluded, part of being on a political team is maintaining a certain amount of maturity, recognizing you can't win them all, recognizing there are some things that are important to you that are less important to the guy you put in charge who's trying to focus on things right in front of him. And so having a sense of perspective, having a sense of balance, having a sense of maturity, I think is more important even than getting to the bottom of what really happened with Jeffrey Epstein. So, Emily, we need to just stop being so immature about these things.
That's, incredibly bizarre. Part of being on a political team? What? Like, that's exactly, that's actually if you reverse that and had a Democrat posting that about Biden and the Epstein case or the Clintons and the Epstein case, it's so obviously insane. Like you could just, it's so obviously insane. And I get it, by the way, it's kind of frustrating because the Trump administration has created a spectacle of this, a complete mess of this, when there actually are kitchen table questions that matter more to the average person than the Epstein case. Now, they can walk and chew gum at the same time. They can care about both things, but it's like kind of ridiculous that we're out here litigating all of this again because the Trump administration promised transparency, came in and said, no, but to let up on it because you're MAGA and you're on the team and you trust them, they have done nothing to suggest that they are operating on the up and up on this. And so the only way that you could get to that point is if you have like really good friends who you trust, who are calling you and being like, listen, this is all good. We're going to take care of it. For now, just calm down, which is that they're not going to take care of it. They're not. They're getting a little bit smarter, Krystal, I will say, about how they're going to posture on it.
Okay.
I had Benny Johnson on after party last night, and Benny said, this was his quote, everything has changed over the last 48 hours or so, that the Trump administration, he had Laura Trump on his show earlier in the day saying basically like, yeah, I think he's heard, and I think you're going to see more. And Benny says he's been told, Benny has not let up on it. He said he's been told that there is more coming. So my point is
new binders.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting anything significant out of that.
Yeah.
My point is though, that I think that they realize they now have to at least keep acting like they're taking the case seriously rather than being like, it's done and dusted, case closed.
I have to tell you, I watched to the point of like, oh, this isn't that important, like everyone just move on. I watched the Epstein Netflix docs last night just to refresh my memory. And first of all, what was done to those then girls, now women? I mean, Virginia Giuffre killed herself. Like, she was tormented. They all had their lives tormented, and they were completely abandoned by the justice system. And, you know, all the way up until the point of Epstein, quote unquote, killing himself, which I just don't believe. I just don't believe, sorry, in prison. So that they never really had their day in court. Now, they did get to go, and they actually were really grateful to that judge for they got to go and they got to speak and have their day to be heard and be listened to. And, you know, that was really important to them. But that you had this spider web. I mean, this part we know, we know 100%. This pyramid scheme of molestation of young girls. And it was covered up at every single level. That's not a thing that you can, as a society, just say like, well, that was in the past, let's just let that go. But obviously more significant than that is all of the implications of the many powerful people that were in this circle and the very strong possibility that he was an intel asset, very likely for Mossad. So I'm sorry, like, I don't buy that this is not an important issue, that this is something we should just, oh, that was the past, he's dead now, who cares? No, it actually matters that we get to the bottom of what happened here. And then you also have the question of just like basic public trust. And this goes back to, you know, the JFK assassination and the cover up there, and how that really was sort of the beginning of the public disgust and disenchantment with their own government. And if you have that here too, I mean, it has profound implications for society. I'm not saying it's the only thing that matters, but to your point, does that mean like you can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time? That's the only thing you can focus on? No, but people deserve a lot more than what they've gotten from the Trump administration, what they've gotten from anyone. But there were explicit promises that were made here. There were promises that were made to help secure this election bid. There were careers that were made by Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who, you know, were happy to like get rich doing podcasts, floating these theories. And then now that they're in there, just, oh, we put out a memo, it's over, case closed, everybody needs to move on. So
trust us.
Yeah. So no, I don't think it's mature to pretend that none of this happened and put it in the past and just move on. Because the societal implications to me are extraordinary. They are quite significant. They are quite grave.
Well, and it cannot possibly be said enough that the timing of all of this happened the day before Netanyahu came to the White House.
That's right.
And then a couple of days before, an Israeli official was quoted anonymously in the New York Times saying their intelligence suggests not all of the enriched uranium was destroyed in the 12-day war. So why do I say that? I have no idea definitively whether or not there's a connection, but it is a strong reminder that our foreign policy may currently be influenced by all of this because for example, if you are coming out and you're Donald Trump and you're Kash Patel or Pam Bondi or whomever, and you are relying on Mossad, Saga reported during the 12-day war that our intelligence about Iranian nuclear capabilities was coming from Israel. If you are relying on that intelligence, you think you're relying on that, and that's absolutely necessary to have a window into a potential other hostile nuclear power. You come in, you want to spill all of the secrets, and someone's like, no, you can't do that. We will no longer know what is happening in Iran because we have been relying on the Mossad operation, the Mossad surveillance for years and years. Then, hey, that's how you get from point A to point B, in my opinion. And what happens with that, Krystal, is influence over our foreign policy continues from this disgusting and ugly scandal.
Well, and just to put it really bluntly, if the president of the United States is a pedophile and Mossad has that information and is using it to control him and our foreign policy, I think it's pretty important that we know that. I think that's a rather important piece of information and thing to get the bottom of. Just me personally throwing that out there. Others disagree, though. Here is Republican Representative Mike Lawler. This is one of these guys that's held up as a moderate, but just votes along with the party on absolutely everything in any case.
Except for salt. He absolutely would not vote unless he got that salt deduction up.
Well, and that was a bipartisan concern from members in that region in particular. But in any case, he says the same thing. Who cares? Let's move on. Let's listen.
Listen, I'm probably not the person to ask because I don't speak in conspiracy theory, but at the end of the day, there's a lot bigger issues facing this country than Jeffrey Epstein. The guy is dead and buried. Let's move on.
Okay.
If somebody committed a crime, if somebody affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein committed a crime, they should be prosecuted. In the absence of that, frankly, this seems like a colossal waste of time and effort. And frankly, a lot of nonsense. There are a lot of issues facing this country right now. A dead pedophile ain't one of them.
And I think, look, it technically is a conspiracy theory because you're talking about an actual conspiracy, but that's also just an attempt to delegitimize all of this and sort of put it in the bucket of QAnon, which is preposterous. Mainstream reporters, go read Julie K. Brown, go read what is out there, go read what our own government has said about Jeffrey Epstein and the files that they were able to procure from his various residences and the tapes and the photos that they pulled from his mansion in the Upper East Side. Go talk to people who are saying okay, well, how did he even make his money, right? This is not Looney Tunes. There are legitimate, documented, unanswered questions about how all of this went down. And so it's really frustrating to me when people just try to put this in the QAnon bucket, it's all just preposterous tinfoil hat stuff. Stop gaslighting us. Stop pretending like this wasn't a real thing that really happened.
That's exactly what they're, and again, we know if this were a Biden administration, people like Mike Lawler would not be saying what they're saying. And if you trust the Trump administration so much, then go look at what the Trump administration said until they got the keys. It would be one thing if they had come out and dismissed all of this, said case closed with mountains of evidence suggesting why. Everything they have produced so far has been absurd. And I know we're going to get into this because Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly got into this, but the evidence that they have produced to tell us there is no there, that Epstein just truly did kill himself, which may actually be true. I don't particularly believe it, but that could be true. It's not mutually exclusive with the idea that he was involved in a blackmail scheme or was intelligence. But they put forth that video that Wired scraped the metadata of and was this is not the raw footage. And they then said, well, we have all of this stuff, but we can't release it because it would be re-traumatizing victims and it would be putting pedophile stuff onto the internet, child pornography onto the internet. None of that is convincing whatsoever. And so all you have to do is listen to what they said before they were implicated in being the people who could actually release this information, Mike Lawler. And you should listen to those versions of these same people because I think they made some great points.
Yeah, true. Put A4 up on the screen. Apparently Fox News got the memo as well. As of noon, there were 0 Epstein mentions. However, Joe Biden and the auto pen scandal, quote unquote, had a 46 mentions. So, really focused on the here and now with that one. And then just as a reminder of all of the weirdness, and we went through yesterday a bunch of the Trump connections with Jeffrey Epstein, which are substantial, just as a reminder of the weirdness with which he has always approached this case. And the fact that, when he would get asked, oh, you're going to release the JFK files, you're going to release the RFK files, you're going to release the UFO files, yes, yes, yes. You're going to release the Epstein files, yes, well, maybe not, actually. No, I don't think I will release those. He always got squirrely on that one. But he also was really weird when, remember, during the first Trump administration when Epstein was killed, and then there were questions about Epstein killed himself, I'm sorry. And then there were questions about whether or not Ghislaine Maxwell will be found guilty. Apparently, we now have, indications Trump thought about pardoning her as well. And when he got asked about her trial and what he wanted to see happen, he said he wishes her well. Let's take a listen to that.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is." Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know
her
that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein.
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean, she's a child sex alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
What a bizarre answer, Emily.
So, I mean, it's so strange that he is, I mean, it's not, so I'm curious what you make of this, because like, in a sense, it's not strange at all, right? Like it makes complete sense, but just from the perspective of like, why would you be so transparently wishy-washy on the alleged child sex predator, as Jonathan Swan put it there, when you know that there are these like voluminous connections, as he even pointed out there. Listen, like whether or not he's directly implicated in any of this, there's a significant question of whether he was trying to signal to Ghislaine Maxwell not to talk. And now the Daily Mail has a source. I don't know if you said this story, Krystal. You probably did.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail is saying that Ghislaine Maxwell is ready to reveal the truth about Jeffrey Epstein and is ready to speak. So enormous grain of salt, Daily Mail, anonymous source. But I mean, that could be pretty interesting, Krystal.
Yeah. Well, let's hear it. I mean, listen, she's obviously a convicted criminal. I mean, this is a disgusting, horrific person who deserves to spend the rest of her life in prison. There's no doubt about it. But she also would certainly be in a position to know, and I have a feeling that she feels pretty bitter that she's the only one who went to prison for this, sex trafficking ring. Again, she deserves it. She should be there, but there are others who likely should be there as well.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.